At SHOT Show this year, I got an early look at Athlon's Heras, a new line of crossover scopes designed for hunters and long-range shooters. And now that it's released, I've gotten a hold of one, and we're going to get hands-on and in-depth with the new Athlon Heras SPR. Alright, so let's start off with what you get, and I'm not going to bore you with a typical unboxing, pulling random stuff out of the box unless it warrants it. This is the product, these are the accessories, and the packaging. Alright, moving along, let's take a look at the scope. This is the new Athlon Heras SPR, and I got a chance to see the entire new Heras line of crossover scopes at the Athlon booth at SHOT Show this year. And the crossover meaning that they designed this Heras line to appeal to both long-distance shooters as well as hunters, with some very nicely detailed turrets that are also, the windage is also lockable from the pop and lock here. So that you can't accidentally change it, adjust it, or dislodge it as you are trekking across the backcountry, or just simply lifting up your scope out of your truck or your bag or out of a blind, or as you're climbing over a boulder or whatnot. The scope itself has a nice black anodized finish. Feels solid. I could find no faults on the externals, no blemishes, and it is argon purged. It is an illuminated scope powered by a single CR2032 coin battery, which you can just pop in, just unscrew that cap and drop it into the control knob here. And the knob also has the illumination dial here. It has 6 settings from 1 to 6 with an off in between. The 1 is compatible with night vision. The 6, though not quite daylight bright, is sufficiently bright for most usage in the woods or low light, or as you can see here, only the center dot is illuminated. It doesn't illuminate the subtensions in the reticle, so just so you're aware of how this particular illuminated reticle works. The control knob also contains the parallax focus, and it is butter smooth. Turns from infinity down to 10 yards, which is unusual for a lot of scopes to go down to 10 yards or as close as 10 yards. So this is ideal for using for airgun hunting and precision shooting, as well as an RL-22, or hunting squirrels and varmints in the backwoods. So that is a nice feature. The other turrets, the elevation and windage, are very loud, nicely tactile, very crisp, sharp, without any slop at all. These are very nice turrets. The windage is, again, it is pop lock, and similarly very loud and tactile. Athlon makes some of the best turrets in the business. They are user resettable. You can simply pop them open with by unscrewing the turret with a coin. And the elevation has a zero stop. This one is a brass zero stop that has 3 set screws around the locking plate. You unscrew those. It includes an Allen wrench, and drop down this plate ring and match this tooth on that plate to the tooth on the base plate there, and that provides your zero stop once you have your scope zeroed out. And it is a very firm and repeatable zero, so that is a nice bomb-proof zero stop. The magnification ring turns very butter smooth. This is one of the best I've tested recently. It goes from 6 to 24 in about 180 degree throw. It has a nub, and I wouldn't quite call it a fin, but it provides sufficient leverage should you be using gloves in cold weather, though of course you can buy an aftermarket lever if you prefer. And finally, the fast focus, also very, very smooth. No grittiness at all, either in the start or the finish. I would have liked some indicator lines on there just for reference, but Still very nice fast focus. So externally, this thing is wonderful, but of course the proof is in the glass. We'll have to take a look at this outdoors and see how well it looks. So let's do that next. Now, it's a pretty hazy day today with the typical marine moisture and a lot of particulates being kicked up by the wind. So what we're looking at here is the peak of Mount Davidson 1,300 yards away at the scope's lowest power setting of 6, which gives us really the best image quality in terms of hue, saturation, contrast, and clarity. Now, comparing the color of the sky and ground outside of the scope versus inside of the scope, we see we have a nice bright image without any major color tinting due to the glass or coatings. All right, let's crank it up to 24 power and then tilt it down and look at the top of that hill. And so that we're not dealing with the camera shaking every time there's a wind gust, I'm just going to take a still image from the video right now. Much better. And this is actually a much fairer representation of what you could expect to see when you're actually looking through the glass. What I can make out clearly is a white object just below and to the left of the center of the crosshairs. That's a steel trail marker sign, a 30-inch sign atop an 8 or 9 foot tall pole, and that's a pretty good proxy for an upper body torso steel target at this distance. Next, let's head out to the rifle range and check out the scope under real-world conditions. Hey, Moondog here. We are at the Santa Clara Field Sports Park, and while we're setting up over at the 100-yard benches, I'd just like to ask you to please hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell while you're at it. It really does improve the AI, the algorithm, chances of suggesting this video to other folks who haven't seen it. Folks who have an interest in shooting sports, like you. So, thanks for doing it. Okay, I have a reference target set up at 100 yards downrange, and let's start our testing by checking out the turrets and its range of adjustments. Athlon states that it has 70 MOA of elevation adjustments, so let's see what that looks like. And it stopped out there. That's pretty fair. It's more than a target's length, and going down below, yeah, that is quite a bit. Definitely looks like 70 MOA just by eyeballing it. Let's see if the windage, which is also 70 MOA, seems to indicate, yes, there we go. We stopped over there, and there's no dead clicks. A little bit of and there we go. Yeah, same, looks to me about the same elevation and windage. All right, let's bring it up to its maximum magnification of 24 from 6. And as we do that, I can see that the camera hasn't had to refocus and we haven't lost any eye relief. Next, let's do a box test and see if the reticle will return to its original starting point. Do a full rotation. Now you'll notice the image start to go dark, and what you're seeing is actually the edge of the eye box, but that is an artifact of the camera being locked onto the scope. In real life, with your naked eye, you won't really experience this, you won't see this, because your head automatically makes micro adjustments to keep you in the sweet spot. Alright, we're right back where we started. But to really show that these turrets track and are repeatable, let's do a torture test. Now this particular test is called the nipple twister, and it was coined and invented by my buddy Cyclops Joe for his scope review channel. And we're going to be twisting and abusing these turrets more than a typical shooter would in probably a given year. But we're going to see after dialing it back to its 0 point on the dial if it returns back to its original starting location. And it has. There we go. Next, let me move over the reticle so we can have a clearer view of those reference targets at the bottom. And I'm going to take a still image from the video here so that we're not distracted by heat shimmer. The first thing I notice is there's no significant distortion on the outer edges. It's about even sharpness from center to the outer edge. At 24 power, the image is pretty bright, but there is a brownish tint. The white of the target is not completely white. Next, take a look at that paper target on the bottom left. From a practical standpoint, we can easily make out the two 5.56 sized holes on the reactive sticker target. But there are 3 additional holes on that paper, and I can only make out one of them below that sticker target. For an objective measure, let's take a look at the U.S. Air Force optical resolution chart on the bottom right. I can make out both horizontal and vertical lines down to element 3 in group -1, which is pretty good. but resolution isn't everything, and the image lacks a certain sharpness due to chromatic aberrations. That's the bending of light into different colors like a prism, which affects your overall clarity and detail, as evidenced by the fact that I couldn't see those 2 additional holes. You can see evidence of this chromatic aberration in the green fringe line at the bottom of the white target backer, as well as in the shadows. You'll see a hint of purple. Now, this is pretty typical optical performance for scopes under $750 or $1,000. But let's be honest, for most shooters, scopes in that price tier or higher are just out of the question. The Heras is in the 500-ish price tier, and for that, this is really good. Now, I wanted to show you the illuminated reticle, but my footage kind of fails at that. The only thing that lights up is the tiny center 0.3 MOA dot, and the camera can't even pick it up when I stick my hand in front of the bell. It's very small and somewhat dim. You can barely see a change in color of the central dot at its highest brightness setting, but again, this is noonday sun in broad daylight. It is, and you'll have to take my word for it, visible in low light and dusk. So that's the Heras SPR, and I think Athlon did a great job in creating a crossover scope that appeals to both hunters and long-distance shooters. And of course, there are some compromises. It's a bit heavy for backcountry hiking kind of hunting, but for the extra features, it may be worth it. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment. And if you're interested in picking up the scope, you can find more information and product links in my full written review at moondogindustries.com. And before you head off to that next video, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. Thanks for watching. Moondog, out. Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or Locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.